So if you're thinking about buying a house, I wanted to make this video just to help anybody out. Me and my wife and I, we recently bought our house like 3 months ago now, and we want to give a couple of tips and stuff like that. And it could be a roller coaster. I mean, you're dealing with pretty much everything it is. And if it's the first time that you're doing this, then it could be stressful. You're not gonna know what you're doing or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to make a video to help those out there. Well, not really help, just kind of give an opinion on what I had to go through and different things that we had to do. Uh, my wife and I, we were trying to buy a house for a while now. We went through bad realtor. We went through different struggles, finding the wrong house, losing our house because somebody outbidded us and different stuff like that. So we want to kind of share our experience, and I wanted to show y'all some tips and stuff like that that you can take advantage of. So first thing I want to talk about is checking your finances, making sure everything's in order. So before you start going on Zillow at 2 a.m. or whatever it may be, make sure everything's in order. Make sure your credit score is good. Make sure you have the money in the bank. Make sure that whatever, monthly payment that you're going to get is something that you can actually handle. Because a lot of people, they'll get the house, they'll pay too much for a house, or, their budget is more than what it should. And then you just become house, like, you have no money to maintain the house or anything like that. Coming from an apartment, like our electricity bill was like less than 100. It feels like 115 to 30. And then we moved into a house. Now it's like 220, 250. That's because it's just a bigger house and it's more square footage than what we were in. So make sure you check your finances, making sure that you're budgeting correctly, credit scores in order, and you take advantage of those different calculators out there just to kind of mess with the numbers. Also, saving for a down payment. So you want to make sure that you have that 20%. That's a lot nowadays. Kind of hard to do, but make sure that you're shooting for that. If you have to wait a little longer, then do that. And also saving money for closing costs. So on our house, the closing cost was around 14,000. So you just got to make sure that you're saving for that. Make sure you have money for the different uh, things that you have to do before, like the appraisal and inspection, different stuff like that. So we paid $750 for our appraisal, and it was about $500 for the inspection. And we did the inspection before the appraisal because we wanted to make sure that what we were getting into, there was no issues or anything that we didn't know of before we went and spent the $750 for that appraisal. So make sure that you're checking out for different government assistance stuff, like here in Oklahoma, we have a Oklahoma County, I forgot what it's called, but they basically help fund your down payment and stuff like that. And different states and different places have different programs that'll help out. So make sure you take advantage of that. Getting pre-approved. So make sure you reach out to a lender, talk to your friends or family, or do some research on different lenders so they can get you the best deal that you can get. Making sure that you have that pre-approval letter before you start going to shop for houses. That way, you're not, in the market for the wrong house. If you want a $500,000 house, but you can't afford a $500,000 house, this pre-approval will help you out. It'll let you know where you need to be at and what you need to be shopping for. So make sure you are aware of that. You don't want to go shopping and get your hopes up. Everybody has that $1 million, $5 million house saved on Zillow that they'll never get. Hopefully you do one day, but in this instance, we're trying to be realistic. All right. Next is find a real estate agent. So my wife and I, we went through about 3 or 4 real estate agents. So the first one we had when we first moved to Oklahoma, if she was not the best fit for us, I'll say that. We've found a house. It was the perfect house. It would need a little bit of paint work, but that's okay. It's something we were able to do. We threw in the bid, and that was pretty much it. We weren't on top of it or anything like that. Somebody came and outbidded us, but we didn't know until everything was too late. So our real estate agent wasn't really involved or anything like that. But the real estate agent we had now, he's a really good guy. He answered every question we had, made sure that everything was in order with the seller and us as the buyer. No confusion or anything like that. Answered us on the weekend, stuff like that. He showed us maybe like 15 to 20 houses before we settled on the right one. So make sure you got a good real estate agent that you can work with. That'll save you a headache. So Now the fun part, start house hunting. So never fall in love with your first house. You might have the before you see that first house on Zillow, or you driving past in different neighborhoods. Make sure you don't settle on the first house. Make sure you and your family write a list of different things that you want, and make sure that is it something that you can live without, or is something that you absolutely need. If it's something that you absolutely need, make sure that the house that you have that you're trying to get has that. Otherwise, you're not going to have it unless it's like one of those starter houses. So if you plan on moving, if you just want to jump into it or whatever it may be, then yeah, I guess you could live without it until you find your dream house. But make sure if this is your forever home that you make sure that you have that house has what you need. Okay. Gotta get tongue twisted there. So don't fall in love with the first house. Make sure that it's a good judgment and it has everything you want. So making an offer. You always want to stay competitive. There are people out there that are offering like 20, 30,000 below the asking price. Be competitive. You don't want anybody to swoop in or anything like that. The house that we lost because we didn't bid high enough, we only bidded like 5,000 below, and somebody came in and swooped the house from us. And we were willing to go higher. It wasn't an issue or anything like that. So make sure that you have a competitive offer out there. The house that we have now, we paid full price, but we had the seller cover all the closing costs. So you can get creative with it, whether it be having the seller cover the closing costs, or you work with the seller on different issues in the house. You want to adjust that purchase price. Just speak what you want. Make sure that they understand, and you never know, they could go for it, they could deny it, but the worst they can say is no. So make sure you're mindful of that. So home inspection and appraisal. So what we did, like I said earlier, we did do the home inspection first. So we did the home inspection first because we wanted to go through. We wanted somebody to go through the house, make sure everything's good with the piping, everything's good electrical wise, everything's good all around with the house, siding, roofing. We don't want to come in and there's no big expense or anything like that. So what we ended up doing, we paid that $500 for the inspection before we even got the appraisal. So with the appraisal, we ended up paying $750, and that's mandatory. So we paid that $750 for the appraisal, and the house did appraise $500 more than they were asking. So it was a good thing on that. There was no issue with the bank or anything like that. So yeah. So if it'll let you up, as far as I know, you can inspection first and appraisal. That's what we did. So next is closing the deal. All right, so this is probably one of the most, this is the better moments. Closing the deal, everything's in order. All the deals are in place. You got the purchase price. You got the closing costs covered. All your money's coming. You're going to the closing table. It's just it's a great feeling being able to close on your first house and, getting that out of the way. When we closed, it was around 9 a.m., August 1st. And went in early in the morning, signed it, and we ended up getting we got a money order the day before, thinking we were able to use that. When we got to the closing table, they told us that we couldn't use it, so we had to scramble, go to Navy Fed, and end up getting a cashier's check for the amount. Luckily, we had enough money in the bank to where we can, we had to bring to the table, it was like 18 or 1900, something like that, something small, because the Oklahoma County, program, it helped us out. So we barely had anything out of pocket. So $1,700 out of pocket, wasn't able to use the money order. So we had to go in our bank again to get another $1,900. And then, the money order eventually showed up back into our account. But that was a scramble there. So make sure you have enough funds in your account. That way you can handle those unforeseen situations. So a couple smart tips, like don't max out your budget. You don't want to go into a house if your max budget is $250, where you're living comfortably monthly, and you go and get a $275,000 house, you're going to be hurting. You're going to be stressing, and you don't want to deal with any of that. You don't want to have something go wrong with the house because everything is on you. There's no calling, no maintenance for the apartments or anything like that. There's nobody maintaining it but you. So make sure you have enough money. If the freaking fridge goes out, AC goes out, whatever it may be, that stuff gets expensive. So make sure you have the money in your savings for that. Don't max out your budget. That way you can be safe. Check out the neighborhood. Make sure you drive around the neighborhood. We actually talked to a couple of the neighbors before we even walked the house. We had our appointment set for like 2 days from them, but we went around the neighborhood, talked to a couple of neighbors, see how they liked it, and we were happy. It's a good neighborhood, good playground around us. So make sure you're doing your homework on the neighborhood as well. Don't skip the inspection. Like I said, we did the inspection first before we did the appraisal or anything like that. And we actually had the seller fix a couple of things before we even did the appraisal. There were some wiring issues. What was it? There was wiring issues. We had them clean out the pipes clear out the pipes under the house because there were some roots going through. So we had that all cleared up. So yeah, make sure that you are not skipping that. And also shop around for mortgage rates. If you're using a program like we did, then you're going to be stuck with that rate. But if you're going to your bank or whatever it may be, I mean, you could shop around. But we use that program to cover majority of our down payment closing costs. So we didn't have to come much out of pocket. But if you can shop around for better rates, make sure you do so. We are going to refinance here in the next 2 years or whatever it may be after rates get a little lower. So just make sure you have a plan, and also keep your credit score good until after closing. Make sure that you're not buying any crazy expenses or anything like that. Shouldn't be running your credit or anything. You shouldn't be going to buy a car or buying furniture on your credit or anything like that. Save that until everything's done. Okay. So that's pretty much what I got. Kind of a little bit of our experience on what happened, what we did, and everything like that. It's a good experience, being able to buy your own house. My wife and I, we were ecstatic when we got ours. So it's a great feeling, but you just have to plan for it and make sure that you're financially ready for it as well. So if you have any questions or anything like that, reach out in the comments. I'll be looking at them. And this is what I do: just find random topics or anything like that and give my opinion on them, or do a little research on it to understand what it means. So if you have any ideas or anything like that, I got a list of ideas that I want to go over and I want to learn more about. So that's what I'm going to be doing as well. So tomorrow I should go live again with another topic. So make sure you tune in to find out what that topic is. See you next time.